All right, sports fans, it's time for another edition of the Sports Couch, a look at area sports through the eyes of a local athlete, coach, or superfan. The Sports Couch is made possible by People's National Bank, a full-service bank with multiple locations throughout Southern Illinois to serve you. People's National Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. And made possible by Mt Vernon Title Company, your real estate closing professionals. When you need real estate closings, title searches, contract for deed, or any other legal real estate document, depend upon Mt Vernon Title Company. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. And on this edition of the Sports Couch, we're going to be talking college basketball. We're going to visit with a guy who was a former All-State player for the Mt Vernon Rams. And after he left Mt Vernon, he went on to play college basketball for a couple of years at Missouri State. And now he's about to enter his senior season at DePaul University. And DePaul, as many of you know, is members of the Big East. And let me tell you, the Big East is a beast because you've got teams in there like UConn and Villanova, St. John's, Creighton, Georgetown, Seton Hall. I mean, it's a loaded conference, and N.J. Benson has held his own there, that's for sure. And he's had a big season. And he joins us live and in person right now. N.J., great to see you. Thanks for coming today to be on the Sports Couch, and welcome back to Mt Vernon.
It's good to be here, Randy. I appreciate you having me.
You have had a lot of fun playing college basketball, haven't you?
I have. It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. Did you ever think back when you were playing, the early years there at Shagnon Gym for the Mt Vernon Rams, did you ever foresee yourself, playing in a big-time college program like DePaul?
It's always been my dream to go to the highest level, so I've always had the ultimate confidence in myself to reach that level.
Well, you're one of those guys that was kind of a late bloomer because you and I were talking a little bit off mic here before we started. I don't actually remember you playing in junior high. I really don't. And I guess it's because you were a lot smaller guy then, right?
Yeah, I was running point guard, which I haven't done a very long time.
Yeah. Okay. And I think you told me you had a growth spurt like your freshman year or something from 5'11" to 6'3" at that point?
5'11" to 6'3" going into my sophomore year, yeah.
And then you eventually sprouted up to 6'8", where you are today.
Yeah, so the sophomore year I had to relearn how to run and do all those kind of things again. It was a big leap for me going from that. Yeah.
Well, when you played at Mt Vernon, of course, I mean, you really it was really fun being the PA guy there in the gym at Shagnon Gym, announcing all the games and being able to introduce you as the big man, in the starting lineups each night and seeing you clash inside the paint against the South 7 people and then everybody else at the Rams play. But, I mean, you left your mark at the high school level because you were all South, you were all state, you were the most valuable player of the South 7 Conference. And so you had a lot of schools looking at you and recruiting you, I assume, and you really kind of hit it off with Coach Ford, who was at Missouri State, right?
Yes, sir, Coach Ford. Those guys were like family to me, so that was really big for me to be able to go through that journey with him and his coaching staff at Missouri State.
And you had two outstanding seasons there at Missouri State. You had worked your way into the starting lineup several times. I think you even broke a rebounding record there, I think, for most rebounds in a single game. You had several double-doubles. So things were going well for you at Missouri State, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. It was a very big part of my journey for basketball for sure. I learned a lot, and I feel like I kind of developed into the player I am today there.
Mm-hmm. And so then Coach Ford left Missouri State, and, of course, with the transfer portal today, that kind of leaves it open for you to go wherever you wanted to go. So talk about that process. When Coach Ford left Missouri State, you felt like, I guess, that, well, maybe I need to look at other options out there, and were there a lot of options to look at, or how'd that play out?
There were a lot of options. Thanks to God, I mean, I couldn't be in this position or where I am today without him. So I'm very grateful for that and my family. But it was, I wouldn't say a good. It was a good thing, but it was a little overwhelming because there was a lot of options. Yeah, stressful. Mm-hmm. I feel like that Coach Holtman and his staff probably stood out the most to me as a family. I'm very family oriented. And just being in Chicago, it's a good spot for me, not being too far away from home, but also that distance.
Yeah. Well, I remember Coach Holtman at Ohio State, and he just seems like a good guy and seems like he'd be a great coach to play for. And it doesn't surprise me that you kind of moved towards him there in Chicago at DePaul, and so far it's worked out great for you, hasn't it?
It has. I'm very grateful to Coach Holtman and his staff and his family. They made me feel like Chicago is home. So I'm so grateful for that.
Well, you had a great season this last year at DePaul. You worked your way in the starting lineup there. I think you averaged about 9 points a game. You led the team in rebounding. You led the team in blocked shots, I believe. And I think you also led the team in field goal percentage. So that's pretty big numbers.
Yeah, it's my guy, Coach Jack Owens. He always tells me he argues with all the coaches on the other staff. He wants me to lead in everything, even assists. So he holds me to that standard. So I try to meet those criteria of him.
Well, and you actually get your fair number of assists, too. I've watched the stats each game, and there's been some games that, you might get 3 or 4 assists in a game, and that's on top of, maybe getting 12 points and 10 rebounds and then blocking 3 or 4 shots. So, I mean, those are some good numbers.
For sure. I think it's all a working process. I mean, last year, like you said, the Big East is I feel like it's the best conference. And it is very physical, and you have to really use a lot of your mental to be able to play in that conference. So I feel like as the year went on, I started to gradually grow and get better and play better down the stretch.
As I watch games in the Big East Conference, it's a very physical conference, isn't it? I mean, UConn, of course, won back-to-back national championships. They're in your conference. And again, St. John's, Villanova, Creighton, you name it. These are all big-time programs that have been in the tournament year after year. And, I watch those games, and, man, I mean, there is a lot of physicality going on.
There is, and Coach Holtman makes sure to preach that to us. I think that was one of his biggest things is being physical. We talk toughness all the time with our group, so I think that was a big mindset going into every game last year.
I'm sure that you're in the weight room a lot, aren't you?
We are. This summer was probably my biggest summer in the weight room. I went from 250 pounds to 238, so I've lost a lot of weight, and Coach Matt Johnson and my strength coach have been really big on harping on me staying on top of my body and making my body being able to play better in the Big East.
Lost weight but gained muscle.
Yeah,
in other words, right?
Gained a lot of muscle. I think I've gained 11 pounds of muscle, Coach Matt said, over this course. So It's been really big for me.
And in the course of that strength and conditioning, I guess you're always careful, too, about what you eat as well, right?
For sure. The diet was really the biggest thing. It wasn't really that he always tells me you can eat the same, but you can't eat the same food. So I can eat the same amount of meals as I was, but it's not going to be like it was before. It's more leafy greens, and I've had a lot of steak over the time. So.
Yeah. All right. That's great. Obviously, the transfer portal affects everybody in college basketball, but it seems like that you've been able to keep a lot of the core guys that you had last year at DePaul going into this year, and then I guess you got a lot of new guys that have come in too, right? Yeah,
for sure. Our core guys are really big for our team. I feel like CJ and Layden and Teo and those guys coming back, just the chemistry, even with the guys that came back that didn't really play as much, like Nate and those guys, they're really big with motivating, and they know what Coach Holtman expects. So that has helped us be able to show the other guys that have came in the standard we're held to.
I mentioned that you led the team in field goal percentage. You shot just under 60% from the field. That's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, like I said, it was I kind of got a little bit of trouble with that with my position coach Jack Owens. That's my guy, but we want to try to keep it at that 60 or above mark this year also.
Of course, I know a lot of those are dunks, and so that's a pretty high percentage shot, which that doesn't hurt. Yeah. Hey, what's your mindset though when you're out there? I mean, in a typical game, particularly in the Big East. I mean, you've got to be playing good defense, but you got to make sure you stay out of foul trouble. But you got to not let your guy out physical you, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
I think it's really grown. I've watched a lot of defensive clips with Coach Brandon Bailey. Shout out to Coach Bailey. He's been really good for me on the defensive end, just being able to know what position, what place to be in. I think that's my biggest impact for my team is me being back there defensively as that anchor, whether that's me talking or blocking shots or helping out on a ball screen. So with me, it's just what am I doing to help my team win the game? Not necessarily what am I doing to better myself or my stats or anything like that. What am I doing to help my team win?
You know, and Coach Holtman has really been trying to bring back that winning culture to DePaul because, there was a time, and I'm old enough to remember this guy, Mark Aguirre, that played for DePaul, of course, and Ray Meyer, who was the coach. See, I remember those guys. I'm old enough to remember that. And, man, DePaul was the king of basketball at that time. And, they've fallen down since then, and Coach Holtman is trying to rebuild that culture, and I think he's got it going in the right direction. And you guys, won some key games and beat some people last year, and then you were right on the verge, right on the edge of knocking off some others, weren't you?
Yeah, we were, and I've heard a lot about the past DePaul. Mark and Ray come around all the time. Mark has been around all summer, so I had the chance to talk to him. He's gave me a lot of information, a lot of stuff that I really hold dearly to me. But that's really I got to give my flowers to our coaches and Coach Holtman. Going into those games, I feel like towards the end of the season, after my injury and even while I was hurt, we started to play a lot better and gain a lot of confidence, and I feel like that helped us definitely during the Big East tournament.
I know one of the broadcasters is giving a shout-out to. He's normally on the Big Ten Network, but he also does games on Fox and other things, is Stephen Bardo, who grew up at Carbondale and played for Illinois. He's been on a lot of the television broadcasts, and he's done a couple of your games. And he's given some shout-outs to you and talking about Mount Vernon and how hard you've worked and what you've done to get where you're at DePaul. So a shout-out to him because he's given shout-outs to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate him, and I honestly didn't know because we don't hear those things while we're playing, but my mom and my family have told me about it, so I went back and watched it, and I appreciate that coming from him because he knows where it is.
You mentioned your family, and you talk about how you are family-oriented, and you got a lot of family support back here at Mount Vernon. Talk more about that.
Man, where do I start? My mom, it was really just me, my mom, and my two sisters growing up, so she's always been my anchor, my heart in life, and then my grandparents keeping me in church, raising me the right way. So I feel like between those guys and all my uncles and stuff, that's my core.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they've got to be so proud of what you've accomplished and what you're doing now.
Oh, they are, but they still don't let me settle. Like right now, I'm sure they're probably thinking, is NJ working out or is NJ doing this and that? So they stay on top of me for sure.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a blessing that you've been able to play at a time where college athletes are starting to get compensated now. It didn't used to be that way, and so your timing is right because you're playing in this day and age where there is some compensation for the athletes, and I'm not going to get into the dollar figures with you or anything like that, but you are seeing some compensation from that as a result, and you've been able to actually give back to the program here at Mount Vernon High School where you came from because you made a choice to support the Rams basketball program and buy them some travel outfits and some gear that the guys can wear the Rams this coming year. And I think that's super special, and I commend you for that. And that's just awesome that you haven't forgotten where you came from. You want to give back.
Yeah, for sure. I always told God if I was able, or any time that in my life that if I was blessed to play pro or make the amount of money to where I'd be able to give back to not even just like my high school or where I'm from, but like people who are in need, like the homeless or regardless of where that would be. But just coming from Mount Vernon, I have to give Mount Vernon, their staff, the teachers, anybody who worked there, Coach Holloway, Coach Creel, all the coaches that have coached me there. I couldn't be where I am today without them. So I also got to shout out my Coach Dana, my AAU coach, because that's my guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's really molded me.
The Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets, man, no better place.
Yeah, and I noticed that you went and you visited with the Jets this summer too, and went to see those guys, didn't you?
I always got to go back and see those guys, just like the high school. I feel like that's just the same as my family back here. So I always try to go back and provide for them and do whatever I can for them also whenever I can.
Well, and I saw that you showed up for one of the summer basketball camps this year with some of the younger guys. And, I don't know if you realize how much those younger guys look up to you. I mean, they really do. They watch you on TV. They read the clips online and stuff like that. And then to have you walk in the gym during a basketball camp and come back to where you came from, that means so much to them.
Oh, it's always good to be back, and I enjoy being around them just as much as they enjoy being around me. Yeah. I told Coach Holloway and Coach Creel, anytime that I can be back for either of those camps, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. Talk about some of the experiences you had this year playing at DePaul, because, again, being in the Big East, you get to travel, all over the country, and you got to play in some pretty special arenas, didn't you?
I have. I feel like, this might be everyone's favorite arena to play in, but we didn't really get to play in Madison Square last year until the Big East tournament, but I think that UConn or Marquette might be up there for the best place to play at. The atmosphere of the crowd and their fans, they're really electric. And Danny Hurley and those guys, they don't really let it go down. So he's always hyped. So I feel like I'm always ready to play them.
And when you play in an environment like that, say at UConn or Creighton or Marquette, I mean, and the crowd is going nuts, that's got to pump you up as well. Even though it's the visiting crowd, it's got to pump you up, right?
It does. I feel like it's like that for all of us, because going into every game, we're really the underdogs. Like you said, Coach Holtman has taken a big leap in going into this job and trying to turn it around and make it different from what it was with the losing. DePaul, people look at DePaul as like a losing culture, and we want to change that culture. So I feel like he's taken a big step in that.
Well, I could see as the season went on that you guys were playing with more and more confidence. You really were, and you could see it on your faces that, hey, we can win this game. Yeah,
for sure. Especially going into, I mean, for me, I was sitting out for about a month, so I was ready to get back and play, because to me, I feel like the adrenaline rush is really nothing like that. Basketball, college basketball, especially playing against the talent level and the Hall of Fame coaches that everybody else has, is really big for me. So I feel like once I get on that court, it's nothing compared to it.
So you missed some games, I know, this year with DePaul. What kind of an injury was that you were dealing with?
A hand injury. I actually broke my metacarpal and dislocated my finger, my index finger. So it was a big jump, and it was pretty scary, because I was really supposed to be out for the rest of the season, and I was just begging Coach. I mean, he had an interview about it. I was begging him to let me come back, and he ended up letting me come back, and I feel like it was a very good idea for him to let me come back.
Well, talk about the work ethic that you put in, it's particularly this summer, because you guys have been working a lot this summer to get ready for the regular season, because college basketball is such that it's just not during the basketball season. You're playing year-round, aren't you?
Yeah, playing year-round. I feel like we've really built a big chemistry part for our group already this summer, and I feel like it's probably the fastest. We've always had transfers, even when I was at Missouri State, but I feel like this group in particular has molded really fast, and I think that goes to show that our off-the-court chemistry is really good too, and we spend a lot of time together, so it's been very big for us. But for me personally, I think the biggest thing has been, like I said before, the weight room for me. Even with the work in the gym that I've been putting in with Coach Owens and those guys, I think the weight room and the conditioning part has really been the biggest jump for me this summer.
Yeah. I don't have your schedule in front of me, so I don't really know. But other than the Big East schedule, have you added any different non-conference games this year to your schedule, or going to any different tournaments or anything other than what you did last year?
We're going to the Florida tournament this year. Okay. I think it's a 2-day event, and there's going to be some pretty good teams in there. I think LSU, and I can't remember the other ones, but it's supposed to be a pretty nice go around.
Good. In school, what have you been majoring in and taking there at school?
I've been majoring in psychology, and I also might end up with a minor in sociology. So really working towards trying to get those double majors if I can, if it's possible, especially if I get a fifth year. So that would be very nice. But my mom was my motivation for that, because she has her major in psychology, and I like therapy and helping people with their problems. I feel like I'm really good with talking to people. So
well, that's great. You mentioned fifth year. You just touched upon that a little bit. I know that there's been a lot of players because of COVID that have been able to get a fifth year. It's still kind of uncertain whether or not you'll qualify for a fifth year or not. Explain that to everybody.
I feel like the fifth year is a really big jump and it's a really big opportunity for a lot of people also, with like what you said, not only with the experience level that people coming back that have a fifth year have, so they're able to produce more on the court and off the court, but also with the NIL standpoint for being able to be financially stable going into life if you want to be done playing basketball or you're not going to be able to go to the pros. So the fifth year is really big for a lot of people.
Whenever the end does come at DePaul University, whether it's at the end of this year or you get one more year at DePaul, where is NJ Benson going to go next? You want to play some professional basketball? Is that the goal or what?
I do want to play some professional basketball. I mean, over the summer we've had Coach has sent us to a couple of draft workouts and pre-draft runs, so I feel like there's been a really big chance for us to be able to be seen by some league coaches, and hopefully if this year goes as I planned it to go, we can see myself in the draft next year.
That would be awesome. And even if you didn't make the NBA draft, there's all kinds of options to play professional basketball abroad too, if you choose to do so. I mean, there's so many places you can play. Spain, I mean, Portugal, you name it. There's a lot of opportunities.
There is, and I mean, even I have a bunch of friends that's playing over, like Donovan Clay he's a really good player. I played with at Missouri State.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Gilwan Nelson,
right.
Overseas, and
Sure.
then there's just a bunch of places you can go. And I mean, even Crutwig, Coach Mullins coached him at Loyola.
Yeah.
He's playing overseas, and I mean, they say it's just the same. Basketball is always going to be the same.
Yeah.
There's fans, everybody gets into it. It's always going to be basketball. So.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you've got those connections so that, maybe something can work out in some direction that way. All right. Anything else that you would like to add or talk about to anybody out there that might be wondering what it's like to play college basketball or the day-to-day grind or the travel or anything like that? Anything else you'd like to add?
I would say it's just really a grind, and it really takes some time out of your day if you really want to achieve greatness and get to a certain level in life to where you want to be. Whether that's like, I feel like a lot of people try to reach the highest level when that's really not. That can be your goal, but it's really not the end game if you don't. I feel like you should really just try to push and go hard in everything you do, whether it's the Division III level, NAIA, or JUCO. It really doesn't matter. I feel like basketball is just always basketball, but not just in basketball, also in life. I feel like my uncle always told me take care of the game, and he was talking about basketball, but I carried that with me and took it with me as in life also. Yeah.
Well, basketball has certainly taken you far already, but beyond basketball, there has to be things too, and it's nice that you got your mind, set on that and focused on that you know that there's other things to it. Yeah, that's great. Boy, it's been fun visiting with you today, NJ. I mean, it really has been fun. We're so excited to see what you're doing at DePaul. Can't wait to see what the Blue Demons do this coming basketball season. I think you're going to make some more noise in the Big East, and I think you're going to be a beast in the Big East again.
Definitely. Big year coming for me and my teammates and the coaching staff for sure.
All right. Appreciate the visit. Thanks so much, NJ.
No problem, man.